Hello. So I've just came up with an idea of my new vlog is the records of the book that I've read in 2025. So actually I have finished one about a half month ago. It is Bear Town, but I have returned it back to the library. So today is February the 7th, and I've just finished this one, The Silence of the Ship. It took me quite a lot of time to finish this book because it was published in 2004, so it's been a really long time ago. It's just a year younger than me. If I have to rate, I think this book is like 4 out of 5 star, because like it is related to like a serial killer, but at the end of the story there will be another serial killer who haven't been caught yet. So I was quite disappointed about that. And maybe because of the word use of the translator, I can't understand it totally, so I feel a bit frustrated and annoyed because of that. If I think I wouldn't recommend this book to my viewers because at the first of the book it's a little bit boring, but I love Clarice's starting when she talked with Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Actually, I've known him before on the series Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and I know he's a really like a serial killer, a really inhuman serial killer. I don't know if I used that word right. But at the end of the story, I was amazed by his intelligence of how he uses his brain to trick a lot of police to get out of the jail without shooting anyone. But I was also amazed by Clarice startling by her braveness and the way she calmed herself down when she has to face up with some dangerous and severe situations. At the end of the story, there was one sentence that I know that makes me know why the name of the book is the Silence of the Story. Slept whenever she slept. She could hear the sound of the ship, but at the end of the story, the silence of the ship means that she has overcome that. To me, she has overcome that because she didn't hear the sounds of the ships anymore. So that means she has overcome that. If there's one thing that I don't like about this book, is the word use. Of course, it's because of the translator. Maybe because I have chosen a really old version of this book, what the title means in English. But actually I've read it maybe 1/5 of this book. I've made some marker here. I have this book is mine, and this book I borrowed from the library, the council library. You can see the tag here. This is a self-help book, and I find this kind of book quite boring because although at the time I read those self-help books, I find it really motivating and inspirational. But like I usually read the book at the end of the day, and when I wake up I forget almost everything about the book, about the inspirational quotes and sentences in the book. Okay, so that is for today. I'm gonna record myself reviewing and like assessing, not really assessing because I'm not professional enough to assess and review the book, but that is my point of view, my genuine point of view. So I want to keep this habit from now until the end of the year 2025. I also bought this one. I I've read half of it, but I haven't finished. By the way, this is my new phone screen. I'm very satisfied about it because it's a little bit basic, but it's really cute. There is a bear, a strong bear on the screen, and I love it. Okay, so that is for today. Bye. I hope that I can see myself in the next video. Hi, it's me again, and today is March the 17th, and I have finished my next book. Is this one. I don't know the English title of this one. You can see it's on the screen, and I read it on the recommendation of one of my friends, and she said that this is a very amazing book that she would reread again. So I borrowed from the library to read it. I think this is one of the most challenging work that I've been through because I borrowed from the library and then I forgot to extend like the date of the library because normally we could only borrow a book within 15 days. But at that time, I forgot to extend the date to 1 month. So when I returned to the library to extend it, because a month ago I was very busy with my group work, with the final exam, so I didn't have much time to read this work actually. So when I go to the library, the librarian told me that I was late for like returning this book. But I want to borrow it for more than 15 days because I haven't finished it yet at that moment. Talking about this book, I think is a very quite thrilling work. The main character, I hated him at first because I hated the way he acted with a woman named Clara. By the way, the main character names is Daniel. And I hated the way that he fell in love with someone who doesn't love him, and I hated the way he acted. Maybe because I'm not falling in love with someone at this moment, so I find it's quite ridiculous to fall in love with someone and act ridiculously like that. So to me, the plot twist is quite surprising, especially at the point when the author reveals that Penelope and Julian characters are siblings. I didn't believe in my eyes at that moment. So, but one more thing that I love about this work is that the author makes doesn't know what will happen next. For example, as I read, I have a lot of assumptions and guesses in my mind, and I guess that Julian Carrick and Daniel would be father or some really close relationship, but at the end they're not. So it's quite surprising. But the plot that a very evil character is Julian Carrick, I can guess it at the moment the story gradually reveals. So I think the ending of this book is really great because all the bad characters died, and all the good characters have a happy ending. They marry together, they have a happy life, and they can pursue their dreams. But I think one of the most memorable character to me is the hat maker. I don't know why, but I think he's very miserable. He loves his son and his wife, but I also hate his violent behavior, but I also feel like sympathy. Not really sympathy, but I also feel he's a very miserable person. He dies because he protects his son, and I also appreciate and respect him for his unconditional love for his son. Also, Daniel is not his real son though, because I think it's a very not that perfect, but is quite worth reading. I mean, I can learn a lot from that work. There are some meaningful and useful quote as well. The story is quite thrilling. I would love that there would be more some action scenes that would be more thrilling, but I would love that there would be some characters died in the end of the story to become more impressive, and it would have a long-lasting impression on me. So I think I would rate this one 8.7. So I don't think I would read it again, although it's a very nice one, a very worth reading one. This is the fourth book that I've read this year so far. So my goal this year is to finish 20 books. Maybe weeks ago, I went to the bookshop and I have taken the photo of some book that I've might borrow from the library. Here there are a lot of books. 2,000 miles under the sea, or the old man in the sea. They're both related to the sea, so I think I would read 2,000 miles under the sea next. By the way, this is my new, what do I call this? The something to hold the phone is matches with my phone case. Okay, so I think it's the end of today's video. See you in the next video, and I would talk about the next book in the next video. See you. Hello. So my latest book was 20,000 miles under the sea. And actually this is a very iconic and famous one, but I have just read it. I have just finished it yesterday, and when I first read this book, I was really impressed by like a lot of scenes that I imagined in my head. It was really magnificent. I can imagine like the the submerged ship, and a lot of scenes that under the sea that like I imagine that it come immediately in front of my eyes and in my head. I love the pirate. I don't know what he called, but his name is Nemo. So he's a really brave and quite strange person, but I don't know why, but I have great sympathy for him. So I hate the three main characters sometimes because they're quite like not really well behaved. Nemo have saved them from the storms, but they always tried to escape from Nautilus ship. The submarine ship's name is Nautilus, and if I were them, I would really grateful to Nemo for saving me, and I couldn't understand their behaviors as well sometimes. Although sometimes Nemo is quite aggressive, but I could understand that. So at the very first part, I would rate the book was about 4.5 or even 9. But the ending of the book was very abrupt, and I couldn't understand a lot of plot and stories in the book. I haven't known about Nemo, like why did he decide to build this ship and to become isolated from human, and why he decided to take off a lifelong trip like that is quite dangerous, but it's very interesting, and it's very ridiculous at the end when the three characters tried to escape in a very dangerous area, but like the author didn't
explain why they can escape such dangerous situations. I love a lot of adventures in the book when they come to different areas like Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and to the North Pole and South Pole. No, sorry, not only South Pole, not North Pole. I love adventures. I love going out to the space, going under the sea, so I really love this book, except for the ending. It's really strange, a very strange ending, so overall, I would rate this book like 4.3. So my next book is this one, Educated. I have read a lot of reviews from different influencers that this is a very great book, so I hope that I would enjoy reading it. Actually, I have read it for the first 40 pages of this book, and I feel it's quite interesting as well. And a very surprising thing in this book is that someone have inserted a postcard in this book, a Sapa postcard. Maybe someone use it as a bookmark and they forget. So I would add it here. And see you in the next video after I finish the next book. Bye bye.
Hello. Today is Sunday, April the 20th. I have just finished the book Educated by Tara Westover. I think this is one of the books that I remember the name of the author so vividly, because this is like a self book. I don't know if I call it right, but the content of the book is about the author herself. She talks about her life, how her reach and get access to education. So actually I have finished this book about 2 days ago on Friday, but it was not until this moment that I had enough time to record this book review session. I didn't have the book on my hands right now because I have returned it to the library. So I think it's a great book, but it's quite different from what I expected when I read the title of the book. So when I read the title of the book, which is Educated, I thought that this could be a motivational and inspirational story about the importance of education. But when I read it, until the end of the story, I gradually realized that this is not just about education. This is also about family, prejudice, religion, and finally I can understand why this book is in the religious section of books. But I think it's quite happy ending book, although this book doesn't have any ending. The story of the author keeps continuing, keeps going. I cried many times when the main characters, Tara Westover, was mistreated. Was treated so badly by her brother Sean and her dad. I think her brother is the worst person in this world because the way he treated her is so cruelly and so aggressively. So I think while her brother treated her unfairly in terms of physical health, her dad treated her badly in terms of mental health. Her dad didn't beat her or hit her, but her dad mentioned a lot of things and makes her question and wonder herself a lot. I think I would rate this book. Actually, I don't remember whether in the previous book I rate them on the scale of 10 or 5, but this book I would rate it on the scale of 10, and I would rate them 9.5. 7, 9.7. It's a really like a high reviewed book. I think it's not at all about education, but it's like the exchange between education and family. I was so sad when the main author have to give up and let off her family to receive education, but I think it's worth it. When I realized that perspective is about perspective. So when she was a child, she listened to everything her mom and her dad said, and like she didn't like her mother's family, including her grandparents, her aunt, her uncles, and everyone related to her mom. But then at the end of the story, when she receives a lot of love from her mother's side, I was really thankful about that, because at least she has a family. That is her true family. And then I was quite scared of how manipulative her mom and her dad are, and her brother as well. If this is a fiction story, I would love for her brother Sean too, because I hate him so much. And my next book is Guns, Germs, and Stews by Jared Diamond. This is the thickest book that I have ever read. Not yet, but I have ever held on my hand, and I am starting reading it. This is a fiction book. This is about the history and how different continents overtake each other, overcome each other in terms of economy, colony, and other aspects. So actually I was recommended this book on Threads, and this is about the history. It's quite boring to me at first, but I think it would be interesting because I can gain more in-depth knowledge about the history. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Hello everyone. A week ago, I decided that I should continue my reading habits. So I go to the library and borrow some book. I think the last time that I record this book series is 2 or 3 months ago. It's been a really long time. The book that I've been read previously was Gun, Germs, and Still. It was a really thick book and I didn't finish it, so I moved on to another book and I quit it. I decided to go for a random book. It's this one, A Little Lie by Colin Kolb. At first I just picked it randomly, based on the cover, the name, and some little description on the back of the book. So I didn't expect much, but you know what, it's actually so interesting. I didn't expect it to be this interesting, but actually it is. It was so capturing and interesting that I stayed up late, about 1 to 2 hours to finish it. I couldn't wait to see the next plot that happens in this book. This book is about Jane Hardy, police officer, and raid. It revolves around 2 or 3 main characters, and there are many cases, murdering cases that happen around them. It's so interesting that I start searching about this author, Colin Kolb, and I realized that this is the first book in the series about Pelican Harbor. I was about to read the next book after this. I think it's 2 reasons to escape. There is One Little Lie, and the next book is 2. They have it has the word two in the title. And the next book is thuiii, what I don't remember, but I was about to read the next book in the series, but in the library they didn't have it. Beginning of the year, I set a goal of finishing 20 books in 2025, but I think I've just finished like seven books yet, so I have 13 to finish that, but I only have 4 months to finish. I think I can finish it, but the number of books that I've read in this year so far is much more than any years that I have ever read. It's a really good thing, but I hope that I will read more and more. I think the ending of this book can be much better, but it was so captivating, it's so interesting. I will rate this book out of 5 is 4.9. It's a really great book. I would recommend this book to my friends or those who want to read a really interesting, it's a really page turner that I can't put it down. Bye for now. Bye bye.
August the 12th, and I think it's about a week since I read the previous book, and within the week I have finished this book. I just chose this book randomly in the library without reading review or feedback beforehand. So from the cover and from the title, I think that it could be a really interesting and thrilling book, and it actually is. At first, it was not as interesting as the previous book, but the second half of the book really captivating. I couldn't put it down, even though at night I was reading it and it's really late, but I can't put it out to read, and I kept thinking about the plot, the next thing that happened in this book. So this book is about a psychopath who has a daughter. Her name is Nora, and the way they cut off the story before coming to the next chapter is really interesting. Like, after finishing this chapter, I couldn't help but continuing another chapter because it's so interesting. After her father was arrested in the bar, in the cell, there are two more cases that happened just at the same method as his father killed the person before. So I has a lot of suspicion of Brady because all of the hints and the cues point at him as the murderer, but I couldn't believe this plot twist. It was really shocking, and I think it's not really like unbelievable, but yeah, it makes sense. I think I would read more about this author. She has 2 more books like this, and I think that I love reading this type of book, because in the past 2 weeks I've read 2 books and I've read it really fast because it's so interesting. So I think I would read more about this type of book. This genre is like horrific and crime plus psychology book. So I would read this book. I don't remember how I rated the previous book, but I think this one is better than the last one. So about like 10 star, 5 star. About 5 star, I would rate it 5 out of 5, because I couldn't find anything that I don't like about this book. The plot, the mentality of the character, they're so interesting, and I can understand it, and the ending is really, I love it. So I would rate it 5 out of 5. It is really highly recommended book. Okay, bye bye. Hello, it's December already. This is the last month of 2025, and actually I do read books in the past few months, but I didn't record any book reviews video. I have set a goal for myself of reading 20 books this year, and it's December already, so I want to grab up the year and see how many books I've read. So I'm gonna review this one. This is the first English book that I have ever read. I bought it myself. Actually, it is quite expensive that I bought it myself. I finished it in around maybe less than a month. At first, I search for new vocabularies a lot. If I see any vocabularies, I will definitely search for it. I have a habit of reading books at night, so at that time I have turned off my electronic devices, but I asked my roommate to search it for me. At first I searched a lot. You can see that I underline a lot of words, but I think I have forgot all of that words now. And in the later part of the book, I stopped searching. I tried to guess the meaning of the words, and I think I can still understand the books. So as this is the first English book that I've ever read, I think it's quite interesting. It talks about a famous an IT girl. I didn't really know the meaning of IT girl before, but after reading this book, I've tried to search it. That book shed light on more interesting things about showbiz. I mean, the world of celebrities is quite dark, actually. I know that they have gone through a lot of difficult things to achieve fame and a lot of money. The main character in this book, I hate her at first, actually, because she's so calculating. She could try at all cost to achieve what she wants, even if making love with a lot of men. I was a traditional girl, so I didn't like it at first, but then I realized that she just wants to achieve what she wants. But although she's beautiful, she's loved by a lot of fans, a lot of people, she didn't have the love of her life, and it's very difficult for her to admit that the love of her life, she can't reveal the love of her life to the world. This is quite a sad thing. But at the end, I think there is still a small plot twist. It was quite shocked. I was quite shocked, but I think the whole story is quite consistent, and I've learned a lot of new vocabularies. Actually, there are so many phrases, collocations that I've learned. It's just interesting, insightful about the world of the celebrities. So I think I would rate this one maybe 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. So and overall, it is a good book that I would recommend. Okay, I'm gonna review the next book after it, and at that afternoon, I read about 50 pages, the first 50 pages of this book, and I was excited. I was curious about the next thing that happened in this book. I was more curious about what's the link of different characters in this book, that I decided to read PDF version of this book at first because I couldn't borrow it from anyone. The next day, I decided to go to the library, the council library, to borrow this book. I finished this book within about 4 or 5 days, a really short time, because it's interesting. Maybe Namiya Store by Higashino Keiko. It isn't the first book that I've read of this author, this is maybe the third book, but it's also the most interesting book. It's not really, like thrilling, but it's quite calm. It's quite, it makes me feel cozy when I finish this book. The story is really heartwarming. It talks about an old man, that he decided to open a store, but not to sell things, not only to sell things, but also to help people deal with their problems. And I was quite curious about like why there are so many individual stories and personal stories in each part of the books, but at the end it turns out that everything links together. I think this is one of the best books that I've ever read, and I really love it. I love the way the author used different time frame and different time frames with different people, but at the end everybody has some link together. So I would rate this book 5 out of 5. Like, this is the best book that I've ever read. So I would, if you haven't read it, I would recommend this book to those who want a heartwarming and a calm book. I can get most of the plot thread in this book, but although I can get it, the feelings it brings to me is, I didn't expect that I could feel that way. I feel related, like I can understand the feelings of the characters in the book, and that's really amazing. I don't know if this is the last book in 2025 that I've read, but I hope that I would read more in the next year. If this is the final, the ending of this video. Bye bye.